6 p.m. Central Daylight Time, regular City Council meeting Monday, June 17th, 2013, Jasper City Hall, 465 South Main Street. Let the record show that we have two members of the council that are not present tonight, and that is Councilman Hobson, who is in Shreveport with his father, who is ill, and also Alton Scott. Other members of the Jasper City Council are here. We do have a quorum to move forward with this meeting. Mrs. Mims, could I ask you to give us a word of prayer, please?
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come to this council to make decisions, and we pray that all things said and done through this council and the citizens of Jasper will be for thy glory. Amen.
We'd like to welcome everyone to the People's House. Thank you for coming out and showing interest in your city government. We would ask, though, that you please turn off your cell phones and put them into a silent mode so that they do not interfere with this meeting. Before we get started with this meeting tonight, we have someone that I think that City Council member Hazel Johnson would like to introduce.
I'd like to introduce Scott LaPalm, Michelle LaPalm, Chelsea LaPalm, and Dawson LaPalm. They are from Escanaba, Michigan, visiting with us.
And that's your children and grandchildren.
That's my daughter Michelle, my grandchildren.
Escanaba,
North, south, east, west.
Upper Peninsula.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Welcome to City Hall. Okay, we have up next information for council members. You see that you have your departmental reports that you've had a chance to look at. If you would like to ask a question or make comment on something in those departmental reports, now's the time to do so. Being no questions on the departmental reports or any of the departmental information, we would move to public comment. I understand there's no public comment at this time. Then we go up next to consider approval for three sets of minutes. A special called City Council meeting May 14, 2013, regular City Council meeting May 20, 2013, and special called City Council meeting June the 3rd, 2013. We have a motion by City Council member Mitch McMillan. We have a second by Hazel Johnson. Is that correct, Hazel? Is there any further discussion of this issue? All those in favor of the passage of those minutes as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record show that it passed unanimously. Consider ordinance number 5-10-1, updating and amending the City of Jasper Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, building regulations. We have with us tonight the city's inspection, city's building supervisor, Mike Collier. Do you all have any questions of him concerning the change of this ordinance? Also show for the record at this time that Councilman Scott is present. We have a motion to accept the amendment on the building regulations.
I make a motion to accept.
Do we have a second? Have a motion by Councilman Johnson, a second by Mr. Schofield. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record show that it passed unanimously. Consider table item proposals from interested parties requesting lease and or purchase of the former Boys and Girls Club of the building. We've had some other things come forth on this. It would be the mayor's recommendation, if he could get a motion from council, that we appoint a committee to study this issue. I would like for that committee to consist of the mayor, Denise Kelly, the mayor, me, Tommy Schofield has said that he has been talking to some real estate people, and also the city's legal counsel. So it would be the mayor, the city's legal counsel, Mr. Schofield, and Mrs. Kelly to serve on that committee and report back on this at the most urgent need. An update on this today, the county notified me they're no longer interested in the building, but they might want to use it temporarily for storage purposes. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the committee.
Oh, do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the measure passed unanimously. Consider right of way release Town and Country Exxon located at the corner of Houston and Peachtree Streets, Councilman.
Thank you. We have Town and Country Exxon is owned by Jim and Betty Sellers. I believe in your package you see a little plat of it. And what we basically do is go back to whenever the city was created and the municipal government. And also, if you take a look at some of the streets in Jasper, starting with Main Street and Houston Street, going north, you'll notice that many of the streets that we have, the old part of town is what I call the old part of town, up to around Olive Street, were streets that were constructed during the WPA program, the project during the Depression. As you're coming down Peachtree and you cross Houston Street, you'll notice that there are sidewalks on one side or both sides of the street. There's sidewalks on College Street. But as you cross Houston Street and you go then south on Houston, not on Houston, if you're going south on Peachtree and you cross Houston Street, you'll notice there are no sidewalks. Jim Sellers was selling his business to Dover Enterprises. They resurveyed the track and found that there was a strip of their building that was encroaching on what might be considered a city easement, about 6 feet. An encroachment, that would be the gas pumps, the shop building behind the actual gas station. They approached the city about getting a release from the city for about a 6-foot strip that the building actually encroaches in on. The city doesn't own the streets, we maintain the streets, and it's my opinion that that can be done by us signing a release or an easement agreement whereby we do not enforce our eminent domain against the existing building. Now, this would not apply if in the event that they tore down the existing building or the gas pumps, it would revert back to the original plat. But for the purposes of the sale and without causing any further interference, there would be a release of our road easement of about 6 feet on the west side of Peachtree.
Mike, is that all he needs? I mean, will he be able, I don't know if it's just being financed or not, but will he be able to get a fair title and everything?
Yeah, and again, we're not deeding or conveying any property, we're just releasing the enforcement of our
He's
easement.
buying the property from the sellers,
Right, right.
Jim Sellers.
That's correct. But when they went to resurvey this property and get a new survey, they found that, in essence, Frank Strother, or Mike Strother is the one that surveyed, and at that point it was discovered that 2 or 3 feet of their building and their actual gas pump overhang was encroaching onto the existing easement. Now, if you kind of look at it, the road width, if you were to go down Peachtree from the Catholic Church, and you run straight down, you can see that the curve of Peachtree, as it crosses Houston Street, does not encroach on the building. But if you were to put a sidewalk following that curve, then that sidewalk portion most likely would overlap, and there is no sidewalk over there. Now, I will tell you this, that whatever easement agreement we're able to develop with the sellers or the future owners, it will only apply to the existing buildings as they are now. If they were to tear down those buildings, that easement agreement would not need to be necessary anymore. Second of all, this agreement will be subject to any federal or state regulations that deal with walkways, sidewalks, easements. For instance, if you'll notice out on 96 where we're putting the handicap ramp access around various intersections, we cannot release what the federal government or state government may require us to do as any existing easements, or if there were utilities that were necessary to follow, we can't release that.
So is it the council's recommendation that we move forward with this?
Yes. It is my recommendation that the council gives me the authority to negotiate and to resolve this easement question and to be able to resolve it. I can only do so with a motion, an action item.
Do we have a motion?
This is the, no, underground utilities, I make a motion that we go ahead and move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Scott. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the measure passed unanimously. Being no other business to come before this council, we stand adjourned.